What's up, guys? I'm sitting here with a Depraved New World right here at the Mainstage Theater at the Second City. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Got a chance to see your opening night show. Phenomenal.
Thank you.
So how's it been so far? How's the first week been going?
A myriad of openings.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We've had like 4. So it's just like champagne and bubbles every night.
Which is how it always is.
Yes.
Forever.
That never changes.
Yeah. A champagne toast after every
long
show.
bald, gown dresses.
Yeah.
You guys all
Only for the men, though. The girls
Right.
wear like suits.
Just Chuck Taylors
Yeah.
and suits. Yeah, cool. So talk a little bit about how some of the sketches have come about. Did you guys all write together? Just what was that process as far as coming up with what I saw at the first opening night?
Well, some of it is just ideas people bring in and then improvise together. So, and then some of it is scripted on your own that you bring in. And I think a couple pieces came directly from an improv set where we were just improvising for fun, and then a little gem came out of that and then became a piece in the show.
Right. And so how did the name, I know it's kind of a play off of Brave New World, but where did that come from specifically?
We have a variety of name pitches, so we know we have to think of a title, and it's usually about a little bit more than halfway through our writing process as some of the material is starting to crystallize. We get the powers that be in the building start asking us for potential title ideas, and we try to it's actually one of the hardest things we do here.
Yeah.
It's just like coming up with a title that is fun and hopefully is funny, or at least brings a smile to your face, but also maybe kind of addresses some of the theme or the content in the show. And so we sometimes literally will go through hundreds of them and talk about them as a group, and then winnow it down almost like March Madness or something until we get like the 4 or 5 that we all feel like we can be really excited about, and then we take that to the marketing department that talks about what kind of we have some rules. Show titles that are shorter tend to be successful. If the title is too long for people to remember, or if the title doesn't sound fun, so we try to pick something that checks all those boxes as well as being something that interests us.
Yeah.
And that title doesn't come until probably at least 2/3 of the way through our process.
Okay.
So it's one of the last things we do. So we often don't write to the title. Although this one actually, once we had that and we knew that it was in mind, we were able to lean that direction to push the depravity element a little bit more.
Yeah, you can definitely see that it's there. I think that the show title definitely makes sense with everything. And, you have a great director. I know you guys probably all think the same thing. Talk a little bit about how it's been working with him.
One day when I think everyone was feeling a little bit stressed, we were like getting a couple weeks out from opening, we had a lot on our plates. He just came in one day and someone was like, "Mick, how are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm great, every day is a parade." Like just zero smile on his face, and it was the best thing. I was like, that's exactly how I feel. Like that, but the opposite.
He's very nurturing. I think he's his reputation is that he knows how to get the best out of people, and I think that's a well-deserved reputation. And it's really kind of hard to explain exactly what he does and how he does it when he's in the room. But I mean, it's like that kind of thing where you see somebody doing exactly what they were born to do. I'm sure he does other things extremely well too. But when he's directing, he's a very sensitive director, and he's just very, very good with actors. And as you saw in the show, at least I think, the show is just incredibly well paced. And so the kinds of decisions that he focuses on, sort of like the order that scenes come in and what scenes make the show and how long the scenes are, and kind of like just the arc of the whole thing is very well thought out.
You never really have a chance to be bored. I think, I've seen a lot of different shows, but the pace, I think you said it very well, is that, nothing ever runs too long. You guys obviously do a lot of the fun, really quick, sketches that are only a few seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
Is pacing that show just as much a part of it as everything else is? How hard is it to kind of come up with that when maybe you haven't done that as much? Writing is one thing, but the pace aspect of it.
Well, that's Mick, too. Like, a lot of it, he kind of, I think, saw the material that we were cultivating and kind of knew that it required a faster pace in the show. And so, a lot of the sketches, he, halfway through the process, sometimes would, split up sketches into 2 or 3 different parts and just kind of mess with them and see kind of how that felt. Chelsea and I have a piece that was just, a small blackout that kind of was, laced throughout the show. And I think he was kind of playing with that because I think he saw that that's kind of where we all felt the energy was going, and that the energy of the material was going. And I think once he always asks us to like make it shorter, make it quicker, make it funnier.
Right.
And that challenge, I think, is why we have such a fast-paced, funny show.
Yeah.
I think we also got to a point with this show where we had so much material on the table, and some of the things that you see in the show now were literally twice as long as they currently are, but because we wanted to be able to keep all that material and still have a show that was the appropriate length, we just kept trimming it down and trimming it down and trimming it down. So now it's a, sort of like everything is very concentrated and happens very quickly.
Yeah,
which is fun.
it's fun. You know, I was sitting in the audience for the show, and when you guys will come back to a sketch that, you know, you'd kind of started, like you were talking about, I think the audience, you can kind of see some people are like, oh yeah, I saw this before. I remember that character. So I think, you know, it kind of makes them feel like they are following along, and they've kind of won because they're like, oh, I get this, I get the pace of the show. And a lot of people who have maybe never seen a Second City show before and are like, what is going on? When they kind of have that little moment where they said, okay, this is something that happened previously, I'm there. You know? Which is
Yeah,
cool.
and we experimented with coming back to a lot of different scenes and seeing how that worked. And I think, you know, there's that recognition, like laugh or that like thing when you see it come back is good. But then we pretty much only kept the ones where we thought we could do something more with them when you come back to them.
Right, that elevated the entire scene.
Not just the element of oh, that's that again.
Yeah.
We want to do something with it too, hopefully.
Right. And Tawny, which was so cool to see, you know, some of the improv stuff of people. You got a couple just, you know, applauses, you know, back to back on opening night, and just talking about food really quickly and being able to spat stuff off. Is that, I'm assuming you know quite a bit about that stuff. What is that like, that background? It was just fun. I know the audience was like, what just happened? How did this person know that?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of a nutrition head. I have been for a while, and it's always been kind of like semi-useful information to me. It was like for personal use, but then I find myself like unable to keep quiet when other people are talking about it. So which means a lot of my close friends come to me for advice, and some of them wish they could run away when they're just trying to like enjoy their meal. And I'm like, what do you got?
I don't need to know 36 things about avocado, Tawny.
I know. I try and rein it in.
She's really not like
It was
that
impressive.
at all, and it was.
Well, you didn't tour with me.
I did, and ended up one time in Austin, Texas, at like a vegan meditation retreat compound.
It starts on Yelp. Come on.
We were both eating it, and I think
Everyone
there's
was
so
in
much good
rows.
food in Austin, and we're both eating this weird, sad meal, and we're just like, we should have gone to a taco truck.
Well, there was a lot of fiber.
That's
And
awesome.
she gets those applause breaks every night.
Every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't just opening. It's like in
And
the
it's
show.
not recycled either. It's
Yeah.
very much relevant to the improv suggestions.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be recycled because people largely tend to eat the same thing.
Pizza.
Really
Pizza.
pizza. So it's like,
Pizza.
yeah.
Pizza.
It's
sad, yeah.
Tacos
But that
and
is
yeah.
what you learn, like getting improv gets and suggestions in a lot of different ways. People tend to shout the same things in waves. It's this weird, like, group mind in
Yeah.
the world.
Survey of humankind.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think one thing that you guys really showed on stage, and, you know, I can see now, is you guys have the camaraderie, and, you know, your friends, a lot of you have toured before, you've been in, you know, reviews that you guys have seen each other so much. When you found out that the six of you were going to be, you know, performing for the 102nd Review, was that one of those things like, this group is going to kick ass? Was it like, I know these people? What was, when the first time you guys were all in the same room, talk about that.
It was very. I don't remember it might have been the day of our first rehearsal that we were all, but we had all known each other before, and I think that was a pretty exciting thing to realize. Like, oh my God, like I'd done a show previously with Steve. I did an improv show with Mike and Emily at I.O., and I toured with Emily and Chelsea, and Tawny I hadn't done a show with, but we knew each other. And I think we all looked at that cast, and at least for me, I felt like, oh, well, at least we're not going to have any drama with this.
Right.
It's going to be like
Right.
a really fun time.
Yeah.
A lot of people came up to me when the announcement was made, and they were like, "You six, this is unbelievable. I can't believe it." And I was like, "Wow, that's really nice," but I like didn't know how to feel. And they were like, "I cannot believe this cast." And it wasn't until our first improv set together where we all improvised, and I just remember like grinding Beyonce onto like Steve's like NASCAR Ghost, and like, but like after that, that's like my biggest memory from it. But
And that's a figure of speech.
yes,
That's
not
improv.
to
That's
make fun
improv
of it.
lingo.
But
Yeah.
I remember after our first improv set where it was just like, alive and on fire and flowing, and there's so many people doing so many like really great things where I was like, oh, this is a really wonderful cast. Like I kind of sought to see what they were talking about when we were on stage that night.
Yeah, I think that's another thing like that Mick and the producers I think deserve a lot of credit for is they do a really good job, I think, pretty consistently of putting together really good groups of people, and I think you can like everybody as individuals, which I think is like probably our like strong reaction to this. So I like all these people, but like Chelsea said, it's when you start to see it in action, and I definitely experienced this. I mean, I was very happy with the cast list when it was announced because I knew everybody individually, and some people I knew better than others and had worked with more. But then it was once you saw it in motion, I definitely had a couple of moments where I thought like, oh yeah, this is exactly why it's this particular combination, and that's a really tough thing because you see a lot of people in a lot of different shows. Second City is really blessed to have a really deep talent pool. I mean, there are tens of people who are probably in the discussion every time one of these spots comes open.
Right.
So and plenty of people who could do it very well. And so then the question comes into like, what's going to be the exactly right combination of people for this moment too, like this space and this time. And I think that they do a really good job of that.
Yeah. So the last thing is just, for somebody coming to Chicago or somebody who lives here, why should somebody come to the show? What types of people can come out and see you guys? Like, what do you really think as far as drawing people in? What would you say?
I think if you're coming to Chicago and like as a tourist, like this place is always drawn. There's a really rich history. So if you've never been to the Second City before, it's kind of like just a point of historical interest. But I think what's so wonderful about the work that's going on here now is that the building really makes an effort to make it not just a nostalgic, not a plaque, not just a plaque somewhere, but an active piece of history. Mm-hmm. And so that like. That the shows continue to like forward the progress of sketch comedy and try to push boundaries and do new things. And so whether you've been here before or not, it feels like a time where you can see something that you haven't seen before.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, though, too, I think what makes Second City so special is that it's not just a YouTube video that somebody created and put it online, and it is a interactive theater experience, and you will have the same experience, that they had when they started this 54 years ago. It's like, come in, see a show, there's going to be some improv, you're going to laugh, and you're going to have that shared kind of human experience as an actor and as an audience member that you don't get from TV and you don't get from movies. And I think that's what makes it really special. I think that's why this place feels electric, because there is so much energy just kind of present from the audience and us, and the live aspect of it, I think, is something that is a really beautiful, kind of classic, wonderful thing about Second City, that what makes this experience so special.
And there are chicken fingers.
And the chicken
I think we
fingers.
should mention that.
Turkey
I
panini.
mean, it's all good stuff.
Of the
They
vast
have
menu.
food, guys. So.
You gotta check out this kitchen.
Alcohol. No, but seriously, it was an honor seeing you guys perform.
Thank you.
I really, truly, thoroughly enjoyed it. So Tuesday through Sunday, right? We can come see you guys.
Monday.
Yep.
Yeah, Depraved New World, thesecondscity.com. Get tickets there. But guys, thank you so much for
Thank
sitting.
you.
Thank you.
So check them out. They're good.